for joining me. Today I want to talk a little bit about some possible updates we can make to the YMCA website and what ways those could possibly benefit YMCA's employment process. So there's a number of issues that are facing nonprofits when it comes to employment. One of the first problems is the cultural fit. Obviously, in a lot of corporate environments, the cultural fit and other work environments, the cultural fit is not as important. But when it comes to a nonprofit, having someone who fits the culture of the environment is very important when it comes to volunteering and employment, because someone who is going to be working for you has to be really committed to the work and the culture. The second issue that nonprofits are facing with employment is they're constantly having to be on the offensive. A lot of times people aren't necessarily looking for nonprofit work as their first choice, so a decent amount of the time people or the nonprofits will have to be at things like employment fairs and various outreach opportunities in order to be on the offensive to hire people themselves. Another issue facing nonprofits with employment is the non-traditional work roles. So a lot of times, as we've spoken about, you have employees that are being asked to do a lot of different roles across their individual position. And so because of this, it can be a difficulty to bring people into an organization where they might be stretched more thin than they're used to. So one solution that could potentially be used in order to try to alleviate this problem is by improving your internet hiring and online hiring process. So currently, the YMCA is doing a lot of their hiring through Indeed, as well as their hiring directly through their website. Obviously, there's even less in-person interactions, so having a strong online presence when it comes to your hiring is vital. The YMCA currently does have its own website, which lists all the job listings as well as what the job pertains, what is required, things like that. But I think there might be small little changes that could be made to the YMCA's website to potentially make it easier for people to either get jobs or for the YMCA to find people to fill positions. So what I really wanted to point out mainly was just some small examples of what some other nonprofits are doing in their hiring and volunteer practices in order to try and bring more people in, and what their sort of differences are from what the YMCA's website is doing, and to see if there are any similarities or differences that can be taken away. So the first one I have listed here on the left is the Boys and Girls Club. You can see with the Boys and Girls Club application and volunteer process, it starts out really basic. They just give you an opportunity to put in your name, your address, and then it goes on with other just basic personal info, and then they'll reach out to you soon after that, and you'll be able to have a conversation with them about what you want your volunteer or hiring experience to be like, and then from there, they'll better get a sense of what you're looking for and what position you can fill for them. On the right is going to be the Girl Scouts program, and what the Girl Scouts program does that I liked in particular was they have a list of their resources here, and these resources show all the different forms and tests and procedures that need to be followed in order to volunteer or be hired with the Girl Scouts safely, properly, and obviously in accordance with the law. So having something simple like that where you can have all your forms and needs for each given position just in a quick, easy breakdown right away for everyone makes it simple and can possibly improve hiring as well. So the third example I have here is from the Special Olympics. The Special Olympics, this specifically the Special Olympics Pennsylvania. And what I liked about their website was they talked about their different classifications of volunteers and employee positions. You can see they have their Class A volunteer, their Class B volunteer, and then their Unified Sports volunteer. So having this sort of list of what the classifications are and what the people in those classifications are able to do and provide for the agency is something that can be vital in going forward to sort of making it clear from the start what people are getting into and what they're looking for, and having that clear from the outset will hopefully draw more people to the position. So a couple potential implementations that I see that could go to the YMCA website. The YMCA website right now, it's very nicely set up, but the only problem it has right now is it's very long, it's very lengthy. So I think if there were some ways to maybe tidy it up, to tighten it up, it would be easier for people to see some of the jobs that are a little further down. That way they wouldn't have to scroll this far. Um, so one of the ways you could tighten it up would be a lot of times there's under the positions there's a listing of some of the various forms that are needed for employment and volunteering. If there's a way to sort of add a drop down menu on any part of the page there, you can select each of the forms and see which forms apply to which positions. Make it simpler that way. Um, Another way you could do would just be to simply replicate what the Boys and Girls Club had, which was to add just a simpler form for people to fill out with employment or volunteer desire to be contacted. I know right now the employment application is available on the YMCA's website, but that application is a little dated, and it is longer, and with the length of it, it can be a little intimidating. So if you just have more of a simple form that people can fill out and then have themselves be contacted by the YMCA, while it would require a little more work on you guys' end, I think in the long run it could help out in getting in touch with potential employees and volunteers. And then the last potential implementation would be to present links to the forms necessary for the given volunteer job position, volunteer or job position under the position title itself. So right now we have a lot of we have the duties listed and the prerequisites listed underneath each of the positions. If there could be immediate links to each of the necessary forms, maybe that could be instead of the drop down menu or also in addition to the drop down menu. If you have links to the forms necessary for the given volunteer / job position just readily available for people, that might give people more incentive to at least fill out the application. And once you get people in the door for the interview, you could see that sort of cultural fit right from the start. And then that interview may never have happened if you wouldn't have just made it simple to get them in the door in the first place. So kind of the key in all this is just making it as easy as possible for anyone who wants to volunteer or work with a nonprofit, as easy as possible, because the beauty of the nonprofit work is that everything is everything's a little simpler, but at the same time it's a little more broad in the positions. So because of that, there can be a little more conversation that can be had in interviews. So a lot of times it's just about getting people in the door, and I think these implementations have the chance to do that. So unless anyone has any questions, thank you very much.